Virgo Triad here. It is March 8th, 2019. Happy Friday to everyone. And I hope everyone had a great week and is looking forward to a wonderful weekend. Today we are going to be dealing with one of those individuals that is not the sharpest tool in the shed. Yesterday afternoon, right after I had put up the information with regards to my latest fact check, there was a commenter that decided to come over. Now, I get these type of things all the time where people will just come over and drop a link, and ultimately it always ends up being the same type of thing. It's usually some bogus filing or something of that sort that's supposed to prove to me that these so-called secret accounts, TDA accounts, Strawman redemption accounts, whatever you want to call them, actually exist. And they try to, they quite often will copy and paste a bunch of different laws that are cherry-picked. And I've seen this over and over again for the last 2 years. But this one was just too good not to share with you guys. So over here in the comment section, you will notice that somebody by the name of Little Red Kitty decided to drop this link to the SEC in the archive section. So I'm going to take you over there right now. And you'll see from the link in the description that it is an archived filing that was done. And it was done by a person named Charles Wilbert Parker Jr. And he has filed with the SEC in an attempt to try to get himself a CUSIP number, it looks like. His filing doesn't make much sense. It's actually really rather funny to read. And evidently the person who sent this to me actually believes that this document, because it was filed through the SEC, was something that the SEC wrote up. And so somehow this proves in their mind that these accounts supposedly exist. And my guess would be that it's because of this part right here that says birth certificate bond and the number, and the individual surety bond and that number. And what's funny is, if you recall, for those of you that have been following this, April Lejeune has mentioned many, many times about this indemnity bond that that people need to piggyback off of because it's something that Anna Von Reitz had found that works. It's such a bunch of garbage, but you will find in this, if you read through this, which is absolutely hilarious to read. I'm not going to sit and read the whole thing, but I would ask that if you have the time, and if you don't, save the PDF file, because you are absolutely going to want to read this. It is funny as all get out. But anyhow, this person talks about that very same indemnity bond. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it actually starts with the same indemnity bond number even. They didn't even change it. But regardless, this is obviously something that was filed. These things are just so funny if you go through and read them. That was filed by this person, and they even called themselves the individual surety, secured party creditor, and authorized representative. And evidently, Little Red Kitty thought that this was actually something that was going to prove something to me, because it said all these fancy words about the Social Security bond and the birth certificate bond and all these other things. And evidently, they thought that it looked like it was something that had been filed for this person by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So they thought this was die-hard proof. I actually had to inform them that there was some sad conclusions when it came to this. And so I'm going to take you over and let you take a look at what was found on Charles Wilbert Parker Jr. And keep in mind here that we're looking at a business address right here. And this is going to be important, because this actually links him up with what I'm about to take you over to. And that is College Park, Maryland, is where this person actually resided at the time when this was filed. Here we are at the United States Department of Justice, and this happens to be the Office of Public Affairs, and it is a press release that is actually showing that a Maryland man convicted in scheme to obtain more than $7 million of fraudulent tax refunds. And this actually is the same person as what you found in the filing, or what I found in the filing rather, it is the exact same party. So this tells you, Parker, as you see over here, tells you what he actually did and what he was indicted for, and you know, why he ended up getting in trouble and everything. And it even tells you that the U.S. Attorney Rod J. Rosenstein of the District of Maryland and Special Agent in Charge Thomas, you know, it goes on and it talks about the criminal division. It talks about what they did, how they found him, and how this all took place. And that's the actual real legitimate information. Now, the other funny thing about this is that I actually found a link to I guess it's like a newspaper or a news type of, well, it's called City Paper. I don't know whether it's actually like an actual newspaper or whether it's actually just a blog. But they wrote about this scenario here. And the heading on this was, when the IRS sends you money, it's all yours, right? Okay, now the funny part about this, and I'm going to link this too. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I want to keep this video short. But I do want to tell you guys that this guy actually called in himself to a news station as an anonymous whistleblower, supposedly part of the Internal Revenue Service's Criminal Investigations Division, claiming that they overheard a judge, the judge that was going to hear the case of Mr. Parker's, claiming that the IRS whistleblower supposedly heard him say that this guy was they weren't going to let any of this out. They were going to make sure that it was kept under wraps, and so that nobody found out about the secret accounts, and that they would make sure that this guy was put away for good. And I mean, it's like this major conspiracy that this guy decided he was going to go ahead and be this whistleblower. That's who they think it was that called in, and he claimed that he heard this judge talking about putting this guy Parker away for good. It's really a hilarious read. But then it also goes in to talk about the 1099 OID scheme. And that is what I was talking to you guys about many, many months ago when people were filing their tax returns last year, and letting you know that this 1099 OID, that April Lejeune and people like Money Boy Films and all of these other groups were talking about, you guys using this 1099 OID to get this massive amount of refund back. And supposedly it's coming out of your secret trust account that the Treasury Department holds, when in reality what you're doing is defrauding the IRS. So of course they're going to come back after you because you are filing a false tax return in order to try to get this secret account to send you whatever amount of $1 million. So this guy does it, and he does it for $1.7 million, which is the whole reason why he does this SEC filing. Okay. And the refund check, which quite often, if the numbers are right in your actual filing, the Internal Revenue Service will actually cut the check ahead of time. They'll go back and they'll audit these things later. And if they send up a red flag, they will go back after you. So just because you get a tax return that is, you know, $1 million more than what you anticipated getting back does not mean that you get to keep that money. If there's an obvious mistake and it's more than a few $100s, the IRS is going to come back after it, because they give the benefit of the doubt if the figures are right through their electronic filing system. So anyhow, this is where this all goes. It's a hilarious story. In my view, anyway. This is just another case, and I'll link these in the description. But this is just another case, as I have told you guys many times before, of these people grasping at straws. And in this case, it's this little red kitty person dropping a link, not saying a word, just dropping a link in like 15 different places on my comment section in order to try to get me to look into something that might possibly tip my mindset that, oh, maybe they really are real and I've just been wrong this whole time, as if I haven't investigated these to death, okay? You know, but they do it constantly. It happens 2 or 3 times a week, and this just happened to be one that was just way too good. The fact that they discredited themselves almost within, I mean, it didn't even take me 5 minutes to locate this person, then find their indictment, then find the U.S. Justice Department's website information on them, and then go in and find article after article about this jerk that actually ended up with over $7 million of the IRS's money over a 3-year tax filing span of him getting these falsified tax returns back. And yeah, he's probably still in prison. I'm not sure. I haven't looked that far, so don't quote me on that. I just don't know for sure. This was back in 2010, by the way. I think you guys will find this hilarious and at the very least interesting, so I wanted to go ahead and report it. And I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. A word about yesterday's video. I want to make sure that everybody is aware that when I post something that is a fact check video, or any video for that matter, I pride myself on making sure that I do as much investigation as I possibly can with the limited amount of time that I have sometimes. If you disagree with something that I put up, I am perfectly fine with you putting comments in the comment section as long as you stay respectful. I want there to be conversation, and in some cases it's necessary for there to be some form of disagreement so that everybody has the opportunity not only to voice their opinions, but we can actually all take a look at everyone's separate opinion. In the case of yesterday's video, which was, by the way, about 5G being dangerous or not, my point was to make sure that everybody is aware that there are two radiation experts, that one that is not within, I mean, in other words, they don't know each other, was my point. One of them being in Stanford and one of them not being in this country, that agree with the fact that there needs to be more investigation done with 5G. That is a safe way to put it. So I would have to say that instead of maybe it being true, it would be a plausible truth as far as the fact check is concerned. We don't know for sure whether it's actually dangerous. What we do know is that there is reason to be concerned, especially when we don't have enough testing to know for certain. And in this case, it isn't proving a negative necessarily, because we do have an actual number that the FDA has that we know becomes dangerous when it comes to this radiation. So my feeling is on this that I'm going to stand by my video, but I'm going to go ahead and take another look at it in about a month from now, and I'm going to talk to some more sources along the way. And then I will report again, because there were many people that were very concerned about whether or not I was actually saying, yes, it's absolutely dangerous. What I'm saying in the video is that it is plausible that it may be dangerous. And in that way, I feel that it's important that we do make sure that there's more testing that gets done before we start subjecting ourselves, our loved ones, and our pets to it. That is just my feeling on my fact-finding mission, but I will continue to research on it, and if anything changes, I will certainly report that. Please know that I do the absolute best I can on this channel to ensure that my facts are accurate. That is like a big deal for me. You guys know this. That's the whole point of this channel. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that I am happy with the fact that you comment when you don't necessarily agree with something so that I can double check it. And if there is an issue, please know I will always come back and I will always retract what I have said and tell you why I'm retracting it. I've done it in the past. So everybody have a wonderful weekend. Please know how much I appreciate all of you. In agreement all the time or not, it doesn't matter to me. But everybody have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you next week, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.